All right, break up the New York Mets. Just days ago, things looked bleak for the Amazons, and now they've won 3 straight games. So let's talk some Mets baseball with one of the co-hosts from SNY's The Mets Pod. That would be Connor Rogers. Connor, are you doing as good as the Mets are these days?
I really am. Listen, this team has given us something to talk about with all the comebacks this week, and the ballpark was jumping on Friday night. So, and it's no coincidence. They've called these kids up, they're letting them play, and now they got a spark. So things seem to be finally turning in the right direction in Mets land.
Yeah, it feels like it is. And we won't jump the gun too much, but we're going to get into that. I want to talk about the kids because, Connor, it appears that this week the Mets have been resurrected. I said they were looking like they were dead. Now they're resurrected. It looks like the rookies, Francisco Alvarez, Brett Beatty, and Mark Vientos, are giving this team some life. How impactful have these 3 young players been recently? And is this injection of youth what this ball club needed right now?
Absolutely. There's no denying it. These guys need to play every day, and they bring something to the table besides the energy that they have, which it felt like this team has been lacking, but they've also lacked a power element. And that's the calling card for a lot of these young players. When you look at Vientos, he's a true power bat. He's kind of a man without a position, but fortunately with the DH in the National League now, he's able to play. Alvarez brings you a very unique power element from the catcher position that not a lot of teams have. And then Beatty is more of a pure hitter, as you could see with the opposite field power as well. But he's a guy that should give you 20-plus home runs from the third base position for the long term. And you look at what the Mets weren't getting from those spots, catcher, third base, the DH spot the entire year. The Mets have not gotten the home run from any of those. They haven't really gotten much offensive production at all. And now you bring this youth infusion into a team where, yes, Pete Alonso and Lindor are stars, but no team can be carried by 2 players offensively throughout a season. And I love the energy that they play with. So the Mets have been lacking the home run. It was a concern before the season began. It was a concern throughout the beginning of the season. And now the young players are giving them more of that power element.
Oh, yeah, definitely seeing the power from the young players on display. And while you can be encouraged by the play of the rookies, the starting pitching still look kind of shaky there. Carlos Carrasco, he did not have a strong outing in his return to the rotation. Are you concerned about this rotation? And the other part of this question is, how do the Mets fix their starting rotation issues?
It feels like right now they just need to wait and hope for the best that the guys that are stars at the front line of the rotation pitch like stars or even above average, right? You need Max Scherzer and Justin Verlander to be the guys that they've been throughout their entire careers. And even if not that good, can you be above average starters and work into the 6th inning of games? Kodai Senga had his best start of his entire MLB career so far this week, where his stuff was really untouchable. That's extremely promising. The back end of the rotation with the injuries has been kind of a nightmare for this team. David Peterson has really, really struggled. Lucchese's been up and down. Obviously, Carrasco hasn't figured it out at all. McGill has been okay, but they need more than that. And now with Jose Quintana starting a throwing program again, can you get him back at some point in July and then have a reliable number 4 or number 5, while hopefully Verlander and Scherzer are getting back to being themselves? Senga ends up on the right trajectory, and then the rotation is more of what you expected it to be. So that's been the Achilles heel for this Mets team absolutely to start the year, because it's also it's taxed the bullpen. These guys have had to come in the 5th and 6th inning of games every single night. So that's an aspect that needs to get better. But when you look at what those guys have been throughout their entire career, there is a little bit of hope.
Yeah, they want some hope, and the aces have to pitch like aces, and we'll see if they can going forward. Now, 3 straight wins for the Mets, all by 1 run, including 2 walk-offs. So, Connor, do you believe this Mets team, are you believing them now, back at 500, that this squad has turned a corner, or do you need to see a larger sample size of wins from this team before you start to believe?
There's definitely part of the latter that's true. You want to see more, but when you look at the level of competition now that they've done it against Dexter, I mean, taking 2 of 3 from the Rays, starting off on the right foot with a big-time comeback against Cleveland, at least there's promise there, and I think the mood around the team has changed, and a lot of that is because of the young players. They have come through this system together. They are a very close group, and they play with a lot of different energy that seems like it's given a little bit of an extra life to some of the veteran players as well. Now, they really need to ride on these guys. They need to be willing to play them consistently, let them get in a groove, because the more they have played, the more comfortable they have looked at the plate, and even defensively as well. So it does feel like things have started to turn for the Mets. Fortunately for the Mets, The National League has not had a strong start to the season at all. The wild card spots are wide open. Even the Braves with the division lead have had a lot of problems with their starting rotation as well. So if the Mets can turn the corner from this point forward, there's not a ton of ground to make up. They need to be the team that they were last year, and this week has felt exactly like that.
Yeah, this week has felt a lot like it did in 2022 with the comeback wins, and Mets fans are hoping that they have the ability to turn it around. I think a lot of Mets fans like seeing these young guys in the lineup playing, and obviously Connor contributing. That is Connor Rogers, co-host of SNY's The Mets Pod. Connor, good to talk some baseball with you. We'll see if the Mets can turn it around, and we'll talk soon.
Thank you, Dexter.